slide. Okay, this is the last one for this booklet, okay? And if you're following along, that's awesome. If you're skipping through till you hit the questions, answering the questions and continuing on, no problem. Whatever works for you, okay? So in this last one, we're gonna take a look at the last 3 exponent laws. And so turn to page 82, okay? And the first thing it talks about grouping equal factors, okay? So when we're multiplying, we can group equal factors together. It doesn't matter what the order of the numbers are in multiplication. So if we have this random mass of 7 and 3s, well, it is so much easier to put all the 3s together and then all the 7s together, and then we can write them as powers of powers. Okay, or powers of products. Sorry, that's what I meant to do. Okay, so underneath it gives you 2 checks. Okay, we have a group of 10 and 2s. What do you get? And a group of 2s and 5s. What do you get? Okay, try them out yourself and let's check our answers. Okay, so because we have 2 10s, that's 10 squared. Because we have 3 2s, that's 2 cubed. Okay, right on. What did you get for B? Okay, so I put all my 2s first. I have 4 2s and then 4 5s. So that gets me 2 to the 4 times 5 to the 4. Okay, right on. I'm sure you totally understand that. No problem whatsoever. Okay, the next one is when we are multiplying fractions. Okay, first we want to multiply all the numerators and then we multiply all the denominators, and we can write repeated multiplication, okay, when we have the same fraction being multiplied together, as powers. Okay, so if we had 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3 times 2/3, well, that's the same thing as saying 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 divided by 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Well, that's a mouthful, clearly, because I'm having a hard time saying it. So we can just rewrite it as 2 to the 4th divided by 3 to the 4th. Okay, so give this one a try. Check A. What do you get when you write those as powers? Okay, so I'm going to have my 3 3s on top, my 3 4s on the bottom, so that gets me 3 cubed over 4 cubed. Okay, I think you get the answer. Okay, you can try the second check yourself, but let's turn and try exponent laws number 2. Okay, okay. So what happens when we want to multiply a power of a power? Okay, so if we have 3 squared times 3 squared times 3 squared, okay, so we have 3 squareds, okay? That's the same thing as saying 3 to the power of 2 plus 2 plus 2, or 3 to the 6, okay? So when we have this kind of situation, when we're multiplying multiple powers together, we add the exponents. Okay, so take a look here. As long as our base is the same, okay, this is the power of a power rule. Okay, so 3 squared cubed, the same thing as saying 3 to the 6th. So we multiply, oh sorry, I said adding before, we multiply, okay? So 2 times 3 equals 6, so we write this 3 squared cubed equals 3, and then we put the superscripts, the exponents up high, 2 times 3, which is 3 to the 6, okay? So here is the exponent law for the power of a power, okay? So to raise the power to a power, we multiply the exponents. So if we have a to the m, and that whole thing is being raised to the power n, okay, whatever m and n are, is the same thing as saying a to the m times n. Okay, right on. So let's give this a try. Here's my page. Take a look at the example. Example number 1a says 3 squared to the 4th. Okay, so we're taking a power and raising it to a power. So that's the same thing as saying 3 to the 2 times 4. Now you don't have to put the brackets around the 3. That would just be 3 to the 8. Okay, if it says right to a power, that's where we stop. If it said evaluate, then we'd figure out what 3 to the 8th actually meant. Okay, let's try 3c, which is minus 2 cubed to the 4th. Okay, so that's the same thing as saying we keep our negative because it's outside the bracket. And then we would have 2, and then 3 times 4, close the bracket. Okay, so that would be minus 2 to the 12th. Okay, and we can just take away that minus 2 to the 12 because we know the 12 only applies to the 2 anyways, not the negative. Okay, your turn. Here's a check. If you turn the page on page 84, 1a. 9 cubed all to the 4th. Whoops, guess you want to be able to see that. You try it. What's your answer? Voila! Right on. Excellent. Next one. Okay, negative 2 to the 5th, all to the power of 3. What you get? Minus 2 to the 15th. Awesome. Right on. Excellent. And the last one has negative 5 to the 4th, all squared. What do you get? Excellent. Minus 5 to the 8th. Right on. Okay, nice job. Okay, the next rule it talks about here is valuing powers of products. Okay, no, I'm going to back that up just a second here. Okay, so here when we want to multiply 3 times 4 in brackets and everything is squared, okay, the base of the power is a product. So the base here is the 3 times the 4. Okay, we can write this as repeated multiplication. 3 times 4 times 3 times 4. Group our like numbers, 3 times 3 and 4 times 4, and rewrite that as 3 squared times 4 squared. Now, we are not writing all of this. That's ridiculous. That's a lot. But if we know how the law works, we can recognize that 3 times 4 squared means that we square each number inside that bracket. Okay, so here, the exponent law for the power of a product means that the power of a product is the product of powers. That gets so confusing. Okay, so how do I write that out? If A times B, if I'm multiplying 2 numbers and they're all being raised to 1 power, that's the same thing as saying A to the M times B to the M. Okay, to the same power. Okay, right on. So very simply here, 2 times 5 all squared is the same thing as saying 2 squared times 5 squared. Okay, so 2 2s times 2 5s. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 5 is 25. Multiply those together, gives you 100. Okay? It said evaluate. That's why you don't just stop here. Okay? You keep on going to find out what the answer is. Okay? So let's check out the check. Okay? So next page, check number 1A on page 85. So 5 times 7 to the 4. Let's just write this as a product of powers. What do you get? Awesome. Nice job. Okay, let's do B. Okay, we're going to get, what's your answer? Excellent. Okay, so for those two, we're just writing them as products of powers. And the second one has you actually evaluating. Okay, so the first one says -1 times 6 all squared. What do you get for that? Oh, sorry. This is all in brackets, so then that makes it positive 36. Right on. And then let's do B right here. -1 times -4, and that's all cubed. What's your answer? Right on. Okay, I think you got this. Okay, last rule to look at. When we're talking about power of quotients. Okay, so take a look. If our base is a fraction, let me zoom in here. If our base is a fraction and it's all being raised to a power, we can write that out as 3 to the 4th times 3 to the 4th and then multiply the fractions, but that's a lot of work. If we remember the rule, it would mean that we would multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same power. Okay, so 3 over 4 all raised to the power of 2 means that we have 3 squared divided by 4 squared. Okay, and that is the law for the power of a quotient. Remember, quotient means dividing, power is like an exponent. Okay, so the power of a quotient is a quotient of powers. Why does it look like those words are just reversed all the time? But they are. So A over B all raised to the m is the same as saying A to the m over B to the m, as long as B doesn't equal 0, okay? Because remember, any number divided by 0 is undefined, okay? So take a look at these two here. Example number 3 says, evaluate 30 divided by -5 squared. Okay, so that's the same thing as saying 30 squared divided by -5 squared. Okay, and do I have to take that all the way? Yeah. Okay, equals, so I take out my calculator, 30 squared. Okay, so that's 900 divided by 25 equals 36. Okay. Right on. Oh, there's another one right here. Okay, 20 divided by 4 squared. Okay, it's the same thing as saying 20 squared divided by 4 squared, which would be 20 squared equals, 400 divided by 16 equals 25. Okay, and if you went, hey, that's the same thing as going 20 divided by 4, that's 5, and then squaring it, you're right. 25 also means 5 squared. Okay? Right on. Okay, so take a look at the next page and let's try one check before you head off and try to practice by yourself. Okay, so a 3/4 to the 5th, what do you get? Awesome, exactly. Okay, B, we have 1 divided by -10, everything all cubed. What do you get? Okay, excellent, that's it. Okay, and you don't have to write it like this. I prefer the numerator and the denominator. Okay, now let's try a couple where we evaluate. So this was 1a, let's do 2a minus 16 divided by -4 and everything all squared. Find the answer. We have -16 squared divided by -4 squared. Okay, notice how our bases are not the same. That's why we can't do anything with the exponents. Oh, sorry, what am I doing? Oh, sorry, I want to do what's inside the brackets first. -16 divided by -4, that's 4, and then that's all going to be squared. Right on, and 4 squared equals 16. And the last one is 36 divided by 6, and this is all cubed. Okay, and what do we get? Well, 36 divided by 6 is 6 cubed, 6 cubed, 216. Okay, so you can evaluate what's inside the brackets first, okay, even though this is what it means. Okay, your turn. Try practice on page 86 and 87, and then you'll notice the next page is the unit puzzle. Right on, and then is the chapter review, and then you're done the unit. Awesome, okay? Once you feel comfortable, make sure you've tried the assignments on Class Kick that have also been posted on Google Classroom.